decide to become a filmmaker? How did you start to make films? Why?
I really was very, I think I'm very, in some way, it's strange, but moving images, it has a kind of effect on my brain, which is like drugs. And that was since I was a little boy, really. For example, at our place, in my family, my mother rejected to have a television. She said, no, there won't be television in my house because that is going to be all this advertising, all these stupid programs in the brains of these children. I don't want it. But but when I went to my friends or to go to play and they had television, I was like, when I saw these, I was so attracted about moving images. I could watch for it hours and hours. So I was addicted about television, although I almost never experienced it. But my mother, to compensate it, she brought me a lot to the cinema. So we didn't see television, we went to the cinema. And I saw great films, and I was so in love with cinema. When I was 14, I always went to the festivals and all these kind of things. And then later on, but I never saw it from the point of view of making films. But when I was 18, I went on this sabbatical year. I decided to do other things than just continuing in the education system. So I decided, let's go to Italy and start making some sculptures in marble. And then suddenly we heard the news that my father got the permission to go back to Venezuela. And I said, let's go to Venezuela together with my father. And there I knew that my father's history, what my film Persona Ingrata is about, I knew that my father's history was an important subject, an important matter for him. But I didn't know that it was so important for thousands of people in Venezuela. And when I was there in Venezuela for the first time, I was so overwhelmed by their reactions on my father that I decided I should make a film about it.
So at the time you didn't have a camera with you?
I didn't have a camera, I only took some photos. And then there, in the months who continued, and some months later, I did the exam for the film school in Brussels. And by luck, I got into it. St. Lucas.
Okay.
St. Lucas in Brussels. And I, with a lot of luck, I got into it. And then I struggled and worked and tried to find out what cinema was at the other side of the camera. And after 4 years, it has been very great adventure, because with the last film I made in my school, we won like 18 prizes around all the world. So it was an amazing success. And it opened a lot of doors. And then I said, now I have to return on my basic idea, the one I wanted to make since I was 18. I have to go to Venezuela, make the film, and this is my first independent feature documentary.
So how did you, because there are a lot of different footage in the film. You've got archives, and I think you filmed it maybe at different times and moments. And you also rebuild some scenes.
Reconstructing some scenes.
Like fiction.
Yeah.
So did it cost you money? Was it difficult to produce? Or?
It was a very, very difficult project to produce, to make it. But I don't make, in my case, I never make a separation, or I don't make a division between producing or directing or filming. I'm not a director. I think directing sounds like a businessman or something who just says this has to be done and this has to be done. I can only define myself as a filmmaker. That means in every aspect of the production process, I'm there 100% behind the project. So that's in all different kind of levels. Finding funding for the airplane tickets, getting the right cameras, editing the film, filming myself with the camera. A lot of the time I'm just behind the camera. So I'm very involved in all the steps of the filmmaking. So I can say, yes, I'm really a filmmaker, I'm not really a director.
Yeah, but still, if you are producing a film yourself, how did you manage to gather
all the
means?
all the financial problems and things we had to overcome. We had a lot of luck. We found a lot of partners who wanted to invest or give a chance to us to make this film because they believed in the fact that this film was going to be a good project.
Do you think
And
that
that-
because your father was already quite well known, it helped you?
No, because these people never know my father. You know, the people from the street know my father, but people
Belgium is not
with
really
the people
famous.
from the funding or so. In Belgium, some people knew him, and I certainly also his social commitment. But he's not like my father is not a kind of star or something. He's just a man who is really very connected with the people, and I think a lot of people know him, and but I don't think he is like someone who is exaggerated or just pushed up in the air. It's not that. He's very grounded, very roots. He has his roots in the earth.
And still, I think you managed to make a film that is not too personal. Like putting your father on the top of the scale.
No, I think the film is about. It's about this energy which drives my father, and I think this is an energy which is shared by so many people who form part of the film. So it's about
Also
this.
by you. Because you need energy to make a film. Like
Absolutely, you need a lot of energy. It costs it's amazing.
how long did it take?
A complete period of working, from the first ideas from the script
From the
till
script, yeah.
till the final cut, 3 years.
The script was quite precise. Am I wrong?
No, you're wrong.
Ah.
The script was
So the
quite
editing was long then.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
The script was precise, but the script is always an intention, and things turn out differently.
Yeah. The images are really good. Don't know. Were you shooting yourself or did you have some?
I had some friends. For example, when I was doing interviews, no
People from the school?
friends. You know, people who shared the same passion and energy with me, but they were not filmmakers. They were
So you didn't
by coincidence. No,
bring people from the school?
No, they were not professionals or something, but I had 200% confidence in them because we share the same creative obsession, let's say it that way. Because one of them is a journalist, the other is a designer, the other is a veterinarian or something, veterinarian or doctor for animals, whatever. And so they are very different people, but they are very positive people, and we made a short film, which is my previous short film, which was the one who had such an effect in the international film festivals, which was called Made in Italy. And this was a great adventure for me at that time to take my friends with me as my assistants. But it was such a success that I decided, let's do it again in Venezuela. And so I invited these same friends to join me in this adventure. But that was certainly for the periods when we had to do a lot of interviews, because I wanted to do the interviews with 2 cameras and I had to ask the questions. So I put it up the frames. I'm always involved in the images, and they kept the frames acceptable during the interviews. You know, it's not that they have to become cinematographers, because that's not possible to become it in one day. So, but they were eager to learn and to get the job done.
Just one more question. Are you going to, or have you already, I don't know, done some short films, or fiction films?
I only once did a fiction film, and that was my first film at film school, at that time I was dreaming about this scenario, about the script, to film the script, and I realized it as my first final work in the film academy. And then after it, I just started thinking about what was going to be my next short film, and I was like, I don't have really a new script in my mind. So, and then I saw around me in my group of film students that a lot of people had a bit of the same problem. They didn't know exactly what their next script was going to be. They didn't have something in their imagination which was already ready or mature to be transformed into film. And so they started to write stories about mafia and criminals and getting killed and very dark thrillers and all things they have been seeing in the Hollywood cinema for all the time. So they started to copying instead of imaginating themselves. And I just at that moment I decided, well, I should switch. I should get a new position. Maybe I should first listen to reality and fill my own imagination and becoming a documentary director and just being in touch with reality, which for me turns out to be sometimes more surprising than what is in my imagination. But the day my ideas or my imagination is going to be more intense than the things I meet in reality, I will make a fiction film. I'm sure about that.
Okay. Thank you.
No.